Technologies. The one I want to cover with you today, which is the mother of all thinking technologies. It is the most important one to take with you, and I hope that all of you fundamentally understand this. It is what we call the recognition of educated incapacity. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. The definition of educated incapacity is as follows. It's knowing so much about what you know that you are the last to see the future of your area of expertise, irrespective of what area of expertise or industry that is, differently. And that led us to the identification of 10 very concrete growth areas of the future, all of which, as it says here, will serve to influence, shape, and inform research and insights along with everything else. Now understand, I'm going to walk you through very quickly these 10 growth areas. They're not in any particular order of priority or importance, although I front-loaded them with a few that I think might have, at least intuitively to all of you, a more direct application into what you do on a day-to-day basis. So here's number one. I'm going to ask a question of all of you. If we think about a luxury in very general economic terms as something which is in very high demand but very short supply, think about what the number one luxury in all of your lives is today. What do you not have enough of, but you need more of? Just shout it out. What we see today is that design thinking is being considered one of the most critical components to leadership. So cross-industry, people who have design thinking capabilities are ascending the leadership ranks. Design is critical, and in your world, it's extremely critical. The design of survey mechanisms is increasingly important. And think about how design has impacted the output of research. Think about all of the techniques for data visualization and what's happening with infographics. That's all rooted in design. It's all the idea that how can we take all of this complex information, these zeros and ones, and present it and design it in a way that it actually becomes compelling. The second component to play space is gamification. Now, this is not gaming. It's gamification, the definition of which is applying game or gaming mechanics in a traditionally non-game or more serious setting. So the government right now uses a lot of gamification and crowdsourcing techniques, for example, to help try to figure out ways to solve problems, solve energy problems, solve infrastructure problems. Gamification is going to underpin everything. And it is a way to incent participation in research, to make research more fun. How do you use gamification, which, by the way, it may sound cliche, and most of you probably hear the term gamification thrown around constantly. It is going to underpin everything. Understand that. It has long been the purview of marketers to use rewards, loyalty programs, frequent flyer miles, all of that. That is a form of gamification, and marketers have long understood that, but now it is the purview of everyone, including researchers. This is from Henry Ford, who is one of the great pioneers of the last few centuries. And he said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And I think this is really interesting for two reasons for this audience. One, most practically, it sort of talks about if you're really thinking about innovating, if you're on the brand side, for example, and you listen to what people tell you in self-reporting research, if you straight line extrapolate from that, you may just incrementally innovate. It may be very stepwise innovation because people will tell you they want faster horses. But more profoundly, what this really is about is the distinction between innovation and imagination. And in our shop, we tell all of our clients that innovation is a cliche, overused buzzword nowadays. Everyone says they innovate. But the people who are truly, quote unquote, innovative are imagining. They are reimagining the future. They are not imagining faster horses, they're imagining cars. So you're all in an industry which for decades had very little true innovation. And now a lot of you are innovating. I'm so encouraged by what I see in the exhibition hall and what I've heard from talking to people. You are innovating along with the pace of technological change, but some of you are going to be ahead of that curve. You're going to be more proactive than reactive.
And we framed it initially as a conversation when we think about what Nordstrom was talking to us about yesterday and where we're going with urbanization, and citing all of those statistics, and then understanding that we are, as he called it, living alone together increasingly. I wanted to frame the conversation with these great panelists by basically identifying where wellness communities, so to speak, are going to live in the future. Are they going to be oases that physically exist outside of urban environments? Are there going to be micro wellness communities that exist within urban environments, for example, within one physical structure? Are there going to be entire cities that are built as wellness communities, which we're now starting to see examples of? And then finally, are we going to see virtual or digital wellness communities that are completely separate from the built environment and essentially redefine what we think of as a wellness community, where they talked about imperceptible wellness. I think when we think about the built environment and real estate and wellness communities, the value is going to be that the wellness is completely imperceptible to the person experiencing it. It's not going to be overt. It's going to be the sort of thing where there will be wellness goals and metrics assigned to something, and someone is completely unaware that it's even happening. Ultimately, this has an economic payback because as you continue to make people healthier and as you continue to cut energy costs, you can then start to discuss the economic viability long term of a lot of these sorts of things.